When was your first relationship? What did you think it would be like, and what was it actually like?
My first relationship.
You know, as a kid, you get an idea. You just see the teenagers bouncing around, so you have an assumption as to what it's going to be like. You watch movies, TVs. You have a perception. What was it like once you actually got into a relationship? Your first relationship. It's usually children acting like children.
I don't. I remember in junior high dating this girl named Nathalina. But she wasn't my first. But she's one of the first memorable ones that went. Well, actually, okay. There was a girl named Nathalina I was dating. She actually wound up. She was actually talking to some other guys while we were together, which I found out later on. But I mean, she was. Why we were together? Like, I think we were later on. She wound up coming out as lesbian, and I think both of us kind of got together because we were kind of going through the same struggle.
You found somebody you were comfortable with?
Yes, but I think we were both we still weren't out. Like, I'm sorry, we still weren't identifying ourselves or even thinking like we were gay. You know, and years later,
just a coincidence that you guys happened to meet and get along, and it turned out.
And wanted me in a relationship and all sorts of stuff, and then later on, she wanted being gay. That's funny.
I ain't gonna lie, that's interesting. Go ahead. Okay.
And then I was dating this girl, Diana, and now she and I could have had a great relationship, and I think it was a lot of me still not knowing who I was, and
you mean as a person?
As a person,
you think you would have had a great relationship because eventually, if you ended up being attracted to men, it wouldn't have worked out. But you're saying her as a person.
Yeah.
Had she been a guy, you think that's what you're saying? Like her character? You're saying you could have still been with her?
At the time.
At the time.
Yes, but I think a lot of it was that she couldn't really. I had a lot of freedom, she did not. So she couldn't really go on dates and go out and do things like that. We had to see each other during school time and things like that. So it was just kind of like, and you know, at that point, I'm ready to go out and let's go to Manhattan, let's go here, let's go there, you know, do all this stuff. And that kind of put a huge strain, you know, on us moving forward. And now, you know, she wound up getting married, having a kid and things like that. But I think if anybody, she would have been the
one. Nice. As a teen, did you experiment with drugs? What kind? How did you get introduced? What was the experience? Or as a young adult?
I would say I was very anti-drug as a teenager. Very.
Snitch?
No. No, just anti-drug. Just the smell of the thought
of weed.
Don't say
weed. Oh my
like, God, my friend. When I found out my friends were smoking, like, oh, what? You smoking? How could you? I became friendlier with the idea of drugs later on in life, but definitely as a teenager, anti-drug. To this day, I don't smoke cigarettes or anything else like that, and weed is probably the only thing, you know, that I would be okay with. Period.
So you haven't experimented with anything?
Besides,
you've never taken any type of drug?
I've taken ecstasy before.
Okay. How was that experience? I've never in my life.
Great until it wasn't. You know, until it wasn't. Like
during the same experience, like it started good and ended bad, or different occasions?
Different occasions. Yeah, I mean, I think once you have an experience where it's just kind of like you're just zoned out, like it's like no, it's not. And it's just like it's not. You grow out of it. You grow up and grow up. You know.
Drink alcohol.
Yes. Okay. I started at 15.
Okay, and so you did do drugs as a teen. You weren't anti-drug.
Well, yeah, 15. I guess you would say liquor is a drug. My cousin and I, we wound up getting fake IDs.
What was the drink? What was your first drink?
Amaretto sour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was amaretto sour. Well, my very, very, very first sip of liquor, of course, was a beer.
I was going to say, because it's the 90s, it had to be a 40 or something.
It was no. It was a Budweiser when I was about 6, 7.
6, 7 years old?
Maybe a little older than that.
You was in the streets.
No. My grandmother at the time, she used to let our neighbor watch us, and she had a granddaughter. So, we would be up there, and she actually let me taste a sip. She let her granddaughter taste a sip, but she let me taste a sip. And that was my very, very, very first taste of liquor. But my first official drink, was at this club. I think it was called The Web. And I had an amaretto sour.
What's your drink of choice now? You're home after a long day. You're done for the week. You want to relax and unwind. What's the drink you grab if you grab a drink to relax?
I mix drinks. So I'm a whiskey guy.
Okay.
I like whiskey. Yeah.
All right.
That's my favorite kind of drink.
When did you leave home, and how was your experience alone without your parents to back you up? Initially, because I'm assuming most kids end up coming back.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of back and forth initially. I'm saying when you first stepped out the house and you said, I'm out on my own, not looking back, not knowing you would be looking back, how did that go?
That would be when I was 15.
Okay.
When I moved out.
So you got the drink and
after
left.
coming out. No, it's not. I'm out. I'm amaretto. No, when I moved out, I didn't know how my relationship with my mom was going to be after that. Like, I was actually staying at my grandmother's house, who actually, we had the apartment after she passed or whatever. So I stayed there for a little bit, and I was like, I don't want any control. I don't want anybody to have any control over me. So I left there, and I moved in with somebody I was seeing at the time. If it wasn't for, and the story's still very fuzzy, I still haven't gotten a straight answer from the story. Allegedly, my father showed up at his house after me being tricked to come home. Not tricked, but they used me having a conversation with my mom to have my dad go to the guy's house and tell them, listen, he's 15, and if he doesn't come home now...
He was an older guy.
He was older. I thought at the time he was 17 or 19.
How old was
he? 20.
Okay. Because this comes up often.
Yeah.
I want to say 90%, 98% of the people I speak to have had a situation where they were underage and they dealt with someone older.
He was one of the younger guys that sometimes I would deal with.
So as an adult now, would you be cool with that? Would you, if you see another 15-year-old dealing with an older guy, would you turn your head, or would you be like, hey, what you're doing is wrong? Because that's a child.
Yes.
Okay. Or even better. Would you want, or did you appreciate your father stepping in for somebody who's clearly too young to be in the situation?
Well, according to him, he never did that.
Okay, but we know he did. But knowing he did, do you think that was the right thing for a father to do? Whether you agreed with it or not, do you think as a father or as an adult, if you was to see a 20-something-year-old person with a 15-year-old, because legally, I mean, it's against the law.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people, they disregarded. A couple of my interviewees, had similar situations, and they thought it was cool because they didn't know that it was wrong, that they were young boys with older women, and their excuse was that they didn't want to say it was wrong. They didn't want to complain because they enjoyed it.
Right.
But it was still wrong.
It was still wrong, of course.
So looking back,
but you don't realize it. No, I can't even say that because
so you don't consider yourself a victim of molestation.
Mm-mm.
Considering you didn't really, I'm saying, in my opinion, a 15-year-old doesn't really have the mental capacity to make these decisions. They're going off of hormones.
Mm-hmm.
They're going off of coming off of restrictions from their parents. They're out in the world. They're running around, horny. Now, a guy or a girl older than you, some could say it's manipulation, even though you might think you decided to do it because
it's statutory rape.
It's statutory rape.
Yeah.
So looking back, do you think it was wrong, or you just chalk it up as this is part of my life? I have no regrets.
I look back on it and I say it was wrong on their part. You know,
you didn't feel wrong. It didn't affect you in a negative way going forward, moving like, wow, I was with an older person. I should.
Of course, I mean it does, but But the thing is that as somebody who's young, you know, you're still trying to figure out, you know, what is right and wrong for you. You know, you're still trying to grow up and you're still trying to understand life, and you know, but at the same time, you want to, I don't say live your truth, but you want to be free, you know, and it's just like being with somebody older kind of sets you apart from maybe your peers and kind of makes you feel a little bit more
but mentally
mature and
growing up. Looking back mentally, do you think it affected you in any way? I'm saying, because I'm assuming, I'm gonna put it on the other side. Let's say a little girl, if she was seeing a 15-year-old girl was seeing a 20-something-year-old man, I can only assume she's gonna grow up with a different mentality.
I had a very hypersexualized teenage years, and it wasn't because of like porn magazines or videos.
It was just actual physical experience.
It was
real world experience.
It was yeah.
Because the majority, I want to assume the majority of teenage kids, all their horniness and all that shit comes from porn. They don't have that much life experience. So when they go out into the world, they have a distorted view on how to deal with a relationship.
Right.
But you're saying you had actual relationships. Your opinions didn't come from porn or from movies and magazines.
I mean, yes.
Yeah, but not the majority.
But no. But yes, it was a yes and no kind of thing. Yes, some of my ideas came from some of the things that I may have wanted to do, or some of the things that I'm like, oh, well, that's what that is, or that's sexy, or I've never seen somebody do that. Like, that's from porn. But then to experience different things, and especially at that age, and still kind of learning the world, it's like it's a very, very interesting, to say the least, chaotic time, you know, growing up and becoming sexualized like at an early age when you still don't really even know who you are. You know, it's a lot, you know.